Hi everyone, Mon here. Welcome to the channel. Welcome all soul savants. Thank you so very much for watching these videos. We're only a small group and it's meant to be that way for the time being for sure. I just want to thank you. I'm really grateful. Everything I share here is my own experience. I'm not teaching from a book or anything like that. I have been a seeker for many, many years. Now I class myself as a finder, and it's been a very interesting journey. And part of that journey has been occult sciences, occultism, spiritual practices, you could say. So that's what I'm going to discuss today. I picked up the Bible at 7 years of age. I've mentioned that here, read the whole Bible. Now, when you're that young, there was no pressure on me to do that. That was something that I wanted to do. So therefore, that was my soul's desire. And then I came across astrology at 17 years of age. And that came from the universe. I was hitchhiking up north. I was 17 years of age with a friend hitchhiking. We came and stayed at a caravan park, trailer park, as you call it in the Northern Hemisphere. And there was a guy there, very old guy, a lot older than me. I was 17, and he had a couple of books from Linda Goodman. And I started reading, and I'd found my way home through astrology. And when I bought the books, I came back home and bought the books and did a couple of courses. I was very young. And, when I've asked myself, why did I do that? I do remember we didn't have any therapy in Australia. It was very popular in the Northern Hemisphere, in the States, but not so much in Australia. And the reason that I studied astrology was to try to understand my family, first of all, because I couldn't understand why they thought differently to me. They were nasty and I didn't get it. So I found studying their sun signs, their astrology signs, their birth signs, gave me an insight into them, which could give me some form of forgiveness and understanding and compassion. And that's what happened. And as I got further and further into astrology, there was no internet. I used to have to go to bookstores, paper shops, news agents, we call them here, find monthly magazines and what have you that were relative to astrology. I was just so hungry for the information. But one revelation that I knew back then, way, way, way back then in my late teens, was I've done this before, because it's coming to me so much easier. Even the symbols and learning the symbols and all of that sort of thing, it became easier than the science tables that we had to memorize, So that then gave me an awareness that I've done this before. Therefore, there must be past lives. That wasn't anything taught in our family. I was christened a Catholic, and then I became a Pentecostal Christian minister when I was 33. So the message today is all about occult sciences and how they are tools for us to enlightenment. But once we find enlightenment, we have to continually be aware that they're just stories. Everything is a story. Everything is a story. When we go quiet and we go deep inside and we connect to divinity, we see that there's only one truth, and that is the oneness of our soul with the divine and the energy of that. Okay, and I find that every day in meditation, and I carry that through my day. So, my thing was astrology and numerology, okay, because it showed me that it worked. Many, many people were totally against me and studying back then because, number one, the Christians believed that it's a form of witchcraft, and it just wasn't popular. It wasn't a popular thing, not like now. I mean, wow, the internet and YouTube and what have you is full of occult sciences. So, we've got astrology, tarot, human design, gene keys, scrying, numerology, iridology, the Kabbalah, tea leaves, runes, crystals, hermetism, New Age, Wicca, witchcraft, mysticism, geomancy, astral projection, plant medicines, synthetic drugs. These are all tools that we can use. You might even be able to add a few more to my list. But, what are we looking for? We're looking for the truth. And there's many paths that lead to Rome. And, I see that there's just so many different paths that we can take to the end goal. We're all wanting to reach the end goal. And the end goal, what is it? Peace, serenity, contentment, and a lack of suffering. So we come across these if we are spiritually minded. Now, our soul is what desires to find the light at the end of the tunnel. We're looking for hidden knowledge. We try philosophies, religions, ceremonial magic, alchemy, mediumship. We're trying to gain foresight into something that we can't actually see, and into something that the society has veered us away from, right? And a lot of people have that attitude: if I can't see it, then it's not true, it's not there. So, for decade upon decade upon decade, I have been a seeker. And my bottom line was to heal the pain within, because from day dot, being born into a family that was dysfunctional towards young children, and the molding of a child, and the attitudes of the 50s, children should be seen and not heard. They had no idea about psychology, right? And there was many of us around the world that reached out for these occult sciences. Now, in hindsight, I'm very grateful I did. And at the time, I had no awareness of what's going on today. It wasn't until the late 80s that I came across information regarding what we're going through right now. Right? The precession of the equinoxes, it's called. And that is these 2,500 year changes that we go through. In India, they have these ages. We're coming out of the Kali Yuga, which is the darkest age that humanity can be in. I had no idea when I first picked up astrology, numerology, the runes, all that sort of thing. No idea. But what I've come to realize is that way back then, when the energy was a lot denser, as far as occult sciences go, meaning not many people were into it, I now realize that by myself and you soul savants that have been seeking for many decades, we actually were clearing the way for those today who are seeking peace, serenity, contentment, enlightenment, and understanding that we are all the one, all of the topics that I talk about on this channel, right? So we've done good, soul savants, because not that these younger people would even realize it, but we made the way. We parted the Red Sea, so to speak, so that others could come after us, because the energy had been shut down around occult sciences because of the power and rule of Christianity. And these days we find that Christianity is going to have to evolve, or it'll be finished. That will be the end, as much as they would like to fight on with it. It hasn't given people enough peace and serenity and lack of suffering, because we can get to a place as souls having a human experience where the suffering stops. Think about that. We can. Yes, life is suffering, blah, blah, blah. But as the Buddha said, if we detach from our desires, yes, it's great to have desires, but if we detach from them and the outcome of them, suffering leaves. When we do our shadow work and lose codependency and find that really our dependence is on our higher power, our connection with divinity, then we realize that that is the way to go, because that is offering us peace and serenity and the freedom from suffering. That's all any human being wants. They may tell themselves it's riches and wealth and stuff, shiny things, but once you get those things that you've desired, then the human desires more, always trying to fill the empty cup. But if you have a connection daily with your higher self, your soul self, divinity, which I find through meditation, that's the only way I've found it, is through meditation. So the moral of this video is, once we get to that point, we have to continually remind ourselves that those occult practices are just a tool to the end game. So I don't seek anymore. Yes, we know I have another channel that forecasts astrology, and that is my medium of teaching and sharing my knowledge. And the planets are always changing, okay? There's always something new going on with astrology. And you come to realize when you study astrology that, yes, we are all one, and that is our solar system is all one. So all of the energies in our solar system affect the one. So that's why I've continued with astrology. But there was a time last year where I stopped the channel for a while because I needed to work through that, because no longer do I look for astrology to suit me, because it can become like that. Tarot readings can become like that. Any of these occult sciences can become a crux where we are in suffering and we're looking for answers through the deck of cards, through the crystal, through the astrology, what have you. It's all within. And somebody said to me when I was very young with all my books and seeking, that I was missing the forest for the trees. And the end game is right back to ourselves, all the way back to ourselves. And in Delphi, over the temple, way back, when there was a huge influx of spirituality and study, was the phrase, know thyself. know thyself. So these occult sciences will help us to go within. When we are born, we are told that it's all outside of ourselves. Everything we need and everything that will make us happy is outside of ourselves. So off we go into the world, searching for the spiritual types. We're looking through books. What is the answer? What is the meaning of being here in a human body on this planet? And why, if there is a God, are people suffering? So we continually must remember that all of those practices are tools. All of them are tools. And when we get to a point where the energy is flowing through our body, through the toroidal field that we have and the macabre field that we have, and we're meditating every day, we're connecting with divinity, all our chakras are open, and we are light, crystalline light beings, there's nowhere else to go. There's nowhere else to go. So our main goal is to heal the shadows of our ancestors, and most people who studied young and class themselves as old souls and had that strong desire to seek answers are very aware of the ancestral lineages, sins of the fathers, they call it in the Bible, the sins of the fathers. Well, really, it's just the pain and suffering that humanity has passed on down the line through the family systems. Because even when you look at addictions are just a way to bury our head and pull the veil down to try to soothe ourselves. And the occult sciences can be practices that help soothe ourselves in times of dismay. Even astrology, when we're going through a shadowy, challenging time in our life, we reach out to be soothed. If we only went in, we would find the love of God, divinity, and connect with the flow through our bodies, because it is there 24/7. But if we're looking outside of ourselves, we'll never find it. It's only when we sit quietly. Now, it seems that there is a whole barrage out there that are trying to shut this down. Social media, all of the fear and the media's, big fish, little fish, oh, catastrophe, this is happening, that's happening. There's a lot to distract us, a hell of a lot to distract us outside of ourselves. But the answer is to go within. And when you find that love within, you come to realize that nothing outside of ourselves can make us feel that way, the way we do when we connect with the divine within. Nothing can make us feel that way, and no other human can make us feel that way or give us the love that we can get from the divine. Because if I'm seeking love from another person, through another person, it's secondhand love. It's coming from the divine through them, and then there even might be issues, through their energetic system, and then to me. But when we connect with the divine, it's bang, it's source love. And when you're in meditation and you've gotten to that level, that's why we keep practicing, because there's different levels. We get to be able to heal the inner child within, love on the inner child within, with the help of our ancestors, because our ancestors are connected to us all the time, all the time. We only realize it when we become conscious of it, but they're there all the time, ready to pour love onto us. And it's their energy, right? It's an energetic lineage that we were born into. And so all of their energy is, we have access to it. And I find connection in my meditation. So just a reminder, there's nothing wrong with occult practices. There's many roads to Rome. But once we get to Rome, we cannot really use the occult practices as crutches. Do you know what I mean? We need to go within. So as long as we're aware that if we're practicing occult, all of those ones that I mentioned and any others that are out there, we just know that they are tools. They're tools. They're not the answer. And, you know, this is probably why more aware souls would look at somebody practicing occult sciences thinking you've got it wrong. You've got it wrong, you know, but some of us needed that. We needed, you know, the insight that those, and it's been going on for thousands of years, occult sciences, right? The magic of life. We all want to believe that there's magic in life. And there is. And we've still got a way to go. I've still got a way to go. I'm very excited. But I find these days I don't need any more books to read. Once you get to the connection with divine, where else is there to go? It's just pure love. And that then we can start healing the cells in our body. And I'll leave that for another series. Okay, this is series 1. This is episode 9. I'm only going to 11. And then I'm taking a couple of weeks off. Okay. So yeah. So thank you if you're watching all the way through till now. Please like and subscribe if you're new. We're going to, you know, just keep talking about it. So there's a place for people like us to go to that aren't looking for entertainment, because occult sciences now on the internet have become entertainment, which saddens me, because I see, you know, I see the positive side of how that they can guide and lead us back to our creator, our home, divinity. And I must admit, every day when I meditate and I connect with divinity, I don't fear death, because it's such a beautiful feeling. You know, and at the age that I am now, you know, I don't fear death. I look forward to joining back with consciousness and the love that, the vibrational love that consciousness is. So thank you. I'll be back soon. And, you know, I really appreciate you guys. All right. You're all soul savants, and it's been a journey. There's no doubt about it. And these times are, you know, wild for sure. So namaste and thank you.